Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
This evening, I wanted to take the next stage of the teachings that we find in When Things Fall Apart in Pema Chodron's book. And this one is the 3 methods for working with chaos. And when we teach in this ministry and in New Thought in general, that we exist in a fully endowed, eternally present world of every good thing. We don't necessarily always see it, but we trust that it's there and that it's there for us. But that the expression of what we see around us isn't a becoming or an unfoldment that is incomplete in expression, so we don't always see what is really here. And so we use faith and spiritual vision and trust, and we begin to call things forth in that. Because we are the channels through which the experience of things happen. We are the experiencers. And how we open to the joy and to the peace and to the life and to the beauty and to the love depends on our openness to see and to feel. And so sometimes we see before we feel, sometimes we feel before we see, sometimes one leads to the other, and sometimes in a holy instant we get it all at once and tears come to our eyes. You had that? Tears coming to your eyes? They just come. And that's when you know there's been a clash of recognition inside of you. Pema Chodron says, we can open to the goodness of life, our birthright. She says, when we're able to do this, we no longer feel burdened by depression or worry or resentment. Life feels spacious, like the sky and the sea. There's room to relax and breathe and swim, to swim so far out that we no longer have the reference point of the shore. Did you have that experience a little bit in the meditation? I hope you did. A sense of just being released out, and just no matter where you went, your fingers would still reach further. There's 3 ways to deal with the situations that come in physical human life, in the chaos of life. And oh boy, I don't think anyone would argue that we feel a little chaotic right now. No matter what your routine of during quarantine or pandemic has been for you, if you have a routine, if you've settled into one, most of us humans like to do that. But still, there's the uncertainty is how long does this last, and when does it change, and how does it change, and what will it become? And so not knowing these answers kind of throws us into this place of discomfort. And so Pema Chodron has 3 different methods that she touches on in this teaching. The first method is called No More Struggle. It's using the basic practice of Vipassana meditation. It's watching our thoughts and labeling them, thinking and going back to the simplicity of the breath, much like I guided you in the meditation a little bit, back and forth, where I send you off to a vision and then invited you to come back and use the breath as your anchor. Use the breath as your touchstone, as the pillar that you touch, that you come back to. And every time you remember just to breathe, just remember to breathe, just to be present to the breath, the simplicity of that will have you immediately turn loose of whatever you were holding on to, whatever you had allowed yourself to go, instead of right here where you are, right here where you intended to be, if it's in a meditative practice or if it's simply in a sense of being aware to what is in front of you now. Simple awareness is the thing to open oneself to with the breath until it's broken by the next thought. And when it happens, notice it. When you wake up to it, you realize that's where you went. You started thinking or making your grocery list or thinking of something you need to pack or something that you need to bring or whatever. Whatever duty or little business that you had to worry about or person that's been bothering you, whatever. As soon as you wake up and realize you don't want to be talking about that, thinking about that, you weren't supposed to be doing it, come back to the breath. The simple reminder, that was thinking, this is breathing. That was thinking, this is breathing. It's only thinking. It will be there when I come back. It'll be there later. Right now, I'm only focused on breathing, being with the feeling, whatever it is that we're being faced with, whatever the discomfort is, just breathe into it. Breath is power. Breath will help you stay present to the moment and give you a sense of allowance so that you can breathe and allow yourself to feel. It's only feeling. It's only a feeling. It's not a truth. It's not a reality. It's not going to hurt you in this moment. In this moment, it's a feeling. And as you breathe and you allow yourself to feel whatever it is, you will watch it. And often you'll begin to notice it changes from one thing to another sometimes. And keep watching and breathing and stay accepting. And when you're thinking, notice your thinking, come back to breathing and be present and feel. Keep breathing and watching, doing nothing. In my own life, my demon, the one that keeps coming back to me, the one that often tortures me in my world, in Karen world, is defensive-ness. It derives out of a judgment that things aren't right, that I'm not right, that I did something wrong, that I should have fixed that something is after me, that somebody else thinks things about me, and I need to do something about that, or I need to protect myself. But it's a defensiveness that I notice, either defending myself or my behavior or whatever, instead of just allowing myself to be acceptable just the way I am, right as I am. And I think things like I'm wrong or something's wrong and I need to fix it quick. Somebody else is wrong, bad, or stupid, and I need to defend myself. Those are the thoughts I have. But as soon as I'm thinking them, I realize they're not going to bring me peace, and they're not even true. My mistake is that I think I have to defer and defend, defer to the pain and the discomfort, that somehow it has truth in it, and I have to route it out. I have to respond to it because it's true. But as soon as I remember that it's not true, that can't be the truth of me, might be something that happened, but it's not the truth of me, that I realize that I don't have to defend my goodness. I don't have to defend it. What all I'm really doing is defending and shoring up my ego. It isn't my goodness. My goodness doesn't need to be defended. It is. And so is yours, because they're true. It's truth. And truth does not need defense. It merely needs to be recognized and spoken as truth. So question number 1 for tonight. What recurring fear or judgment do you struggle with? I think you'll see it in the comments section. What recurring fear or judgment do you struggle with? You might see it there. Maybe you've already begun to answer it. Feel free to add, if you'd like to make public that comment. We'll be funneling that into our spiritual talk back. If you have questions or ideas about some of these things, put that in there too. We'll use it in our spiritual talk back. What recurring fear or judgment do you struggle with? Pema Chodron says, this is the primary method for working with painful situations. Global pain, domestic pain, any pain at all. We can stop struggling with what occurs and see its true face without calling it the enemy. It's like inviting what scares us to introduce itself and hang around for a while. Does that sound scary? But it's a way for you to recognize, it's a way for all of us to recognize that we're not at risk. We're not at risk to entertain the demon. We're not at risk to entertain the fear thought or the discomfort or to even feel the pain. We're not at risk because 9 times out of 10, the things that are hurting us or bothering us, we have already lived through the original source of them. We've already come out on the other side. And often we're just defending ourselves or protecting ourselves from a recurrence or a revisiting of an old wound or of something that happened to us that we don't want to ever let us have to feel again. And yet we dose ourselves with that feeling over and over again because it's unhealed. Inviting ourselves to feel and really sit with pain or discomfort or fear allows us to grow in our power and our compassion. Pema says, the Tibetan yogini Majig Labdron said, one who is known as one who fearlessly trained with this point of view of inviting the monster, inviting the demon in. She said that in her tradition, they didn't exorcise demons. They treated them with compassion. The advice she was given by her teacher and passed on to her students was, approach what you find repulsive. Help the ones you think you cannot help. And go to places that scare you. Go to places that scare you. I'm about to go to a place that I've been wanting to go, Yellowstone. William and I are leaving on Saturday for our vacation time. And I've been really wanting to go and to see the sights. I want to see the geysers. I want to see the wildlife. But then all of a sudden, I began to realize that what I was going to see were things like grizzly bears and black bears and elks and moose and I'm missing one, bison, and that they're wild, and that I'm walking into their home, and I am unprepared for that. And all of a sudden, I'm scared. I'm scared and I'm delighted, and I want to be wise about how I handle myself there, and I'm reading up on that. But I'm going to a place that scares me because it also calls to me, because there's something there for me. And I'll bring that back, and I'll share it. You wait and see. It's an adventure of our lives to be able to go to the places that scare us, especially when they're on the interior of us. There's nothing that is true that needs to be defended, so you don't have to protect yourself or fix or restore something that's already true about you. Your goodness is already here. Your wholeness is already whole. Your wisdom is already present. Your worthiness was determined at the inception of your life. All of that is already true and real and present. You don't have to become anything other than what you are. Only illusions and delusions have to be shored up. Keep that in mind. So the method of just returning to the breath, the method of just remembering that I'm thinking again, there I am, thinking and plotting and worrying and anxiety, and instead I could come back to the breath and just be here. Use that throughout the day. not just in meditation, but use it as part of your opportunity to remember, I could just breathe through this, and I could just feel it, and I'll just be with it for a few moments. And I will say, there you are. I see you, friend. You've come to visit again. You're not the truth of me, but I see you there. And I am bigger than that. The method is not telling yourself that everything is okay, when it most certainly is not, but rather to practice the experience of okayness and peace, even in its presence. That's a mastery. Practice deciding you're okay, deciding that you're at peace in this moment without doing anything else about it or from it or escaping it. That with it, even sitting here, even breathing into it, even knowing it's right here, you feel it. You're okay in this moment, and there's nothing to do. That is a practice. You can do that 1,000 times a day with breath, with awareness. Yes, even in this. Wisdom will arise only in a peaceful mind. So when you're at peace, that's when you will know. The second method she talks about, she calls it using poison as medicine. This is juicy. This is shamanic teaching. This is the place where you use the thing that you would try to avoid. You'd walk way around. You wouldn't touch. You wouldn't get it on your hands. You wouldn't accidentally put it in your mouth or your face or your eyes or your nose or anything else. It's poison. So poison is the thing we try to move away from. But the practice of Tonglen, which we've used before, I think it was in my talk about going against the grain. I got to introduce you to Tonglen. You can look at that service too and practice that. We did that in the meditation time. The practice of Tonglen welcomes and draws in every pain and discomfort and uncertainty and suffering through breath, and draws in this element from others as well in the world, people you don't even know, other lives like yours, like mine, that has the same feeling, the same fear, the same addiction, the same past, the same pain, the same hurt. And you use the breath to draw it in. And the image of the transformation in the furnace of divine love in your heart. Just see a roaring fire of divine love, just powerful and strong, and almost like if you were to look into it, you almost couldn't see. It's almost a white light. It's so bright. And you allow that breath to draw in that pain, that suffering, that wound into this, and transmute it into the pure energy and freshness and coolness from which it has come, and send it back out into the world. And with each breath you do that, drawing in the pain and the ugly and the troubled and the hurt, and allow it to be blown out again as freshness and coolness and pure energy to refresh the world and to refresh lives and to relieve suffering and to change minds and hearts. Question number 2. This is the question for you to write into the comments section if you'd like. What pain or suffering from your past is still with you that you wouldn't wish on anyone? What pain or suffering from your past is still with you that you wouldn't wish on anyone? We'll take a few moments now to take that in. What pain or suffering from your past is still with you that you would like to release. Let's use the practice of poison as medicine. Let's use the practice of transmutation of energy. So I invite you to take a deep breath in right where you are. And imagine your mind's eye, your heart center here. That if you could pull back the skin, if you could pull back the opening to your heart center, and you'll see this beautiful, healing vortex of healing love, divine love, comes from an infinite source. It's not you doing this. You are a vessel. It's coming through you, and it's forming this beautiful, powerful, transforming, transmutation, transmuting power. And you draw in now with your sense of whatever that pain is that is with you, that pain that is to be healed, the wound that you've carried, the fear, the addiction, the whatever it is that you carry from your past. And with your in-breath, draw it in from every life, every human life, everyone who suffers in the way you suffer in the same thing. Draw it into this vortex and allow it and see it in your mind's eye to be pulled in. And with the out-breath, all that's released now is a purity of energy, coolness and freshness out into the world, returning to all of those who have suffered. And with your next breath in, draw in more of that pain or suffering or wound, more of that, and allow, without having to do anything, the space inside of you to do the healing work of transmuting. And that with your out-breath, once again, freshness and pure energy and coolness to replace it into every life. You, with every breath you take, are using the pain you know so well to transform and heal the world and yourself in the process. That's Tonglen. That's using the poison as good medicine. Pema says, everything that occurs is not only usable and workable, but is actually the path itself. There's a Lojong slogan. When the world is filled with evil, all mishaps, all difficulties should be transformed into the path of enlightenment. You just did that. Take it with you. Use it liberally. Use it daily. Use it at a moment's notice. Third method, whatever arises, whatever is coming up into your awareness that is icky, yucky, this again, boring, stupid, whatever judgment you have about it, discomfort, just I don't know why this keeps happening or why this keeps coming back to me. I don't know why this won't go away. I thought I healed it, all that stuff. Whatever it is, see it as awakened energy. And here's what you do. She says, regarding what arises as awakened energy reverses our fundamental habitual pattern of trying to avoid conflict, trying to make ourselves better than we are, trying to smooth things over, pretty them up, trying to prove that pain is a mistake and would not exist in our lives if only we did all the right things. Has she been in my head? Has she been in your head? The elemental struggle is with our feeling, is with our feeling of being wrong, with our guilt and our shame at what we are. That's what we have to befriend. The point is that we can dissolve the sense of dualism between us and between us and them, between this and that, between here and there, by moving toward what we find difficult and wish to push away. In other words, simply being present to it once again. Simply being aware that something has come up to be revealed. See it as a half-done thing, a partly revealed piece that you're going to need for something in the future, something that's coming up into the light. I used to hear that as I was on my spiritual path, I was told that my light was shining brighter and it was drawing darkness to it in a way, because it was attracted to the light. So the things that were inside of me still, hidden in the shadow, were coming up to be revealed. Why? Because I now have tools, because I now can see, because I'm now capable of being able to see this broken piece, this partial truth of me, and begin to complete it with spiritual practice. That's what you're doing. That's what this is. It's to be able to love it broken, not have to fix it, because you're fundamentally okay, and this is coming to be healed, to be fixed, to be integrated is a piece of your soul is taking its place within you again. So instead, we remember from a place of inherent goodness and underlying the manifest world that that is the truth of being, that it's complete and whole, peaceful and loving. What arises unlike this truth of those things is awakened energy to merely be transformed, transmuted to its pure state through breathing it in and breathing out the pure transmuted energy. So breathe long and slow, even and full. Allow what is to be, nothing to do. See it for what it is and do not move away. Just sit with it. Become curious. Allow experience to replace thinking. This is not always your friend. Experience life as it is. Avis Crow says, "Help me to be less fearful of the measure of time and more fully alive in the time that simply is. Help me to live time, not just to simply use it, to breathe it in and return it in acts of love and presence." May you find that you can sit with it, breathe with it, use the poison as medicine, not run from it, but heal it within yourself and share that healing with the world. Namaste.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.